What's going on YouTube? In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down 3 stocks that I'm watching and that I really like that are all under $50 each. Look, a lot of you guys have been watching my videos and you've been leaving comments asking me about some of the individual stocks that I like investing in. A couple of weeks ago, I dropped a video right here on my channel talking about the 5 stocks that I'm going to be watching extremely closely in 2026 and beyond. But that didn't tell the whole story. I also have other stocks that I'm watching that just didn't make that top 5 list. So in today's video, I'm gonna be going over 3 stocks, all under $50, that I'm watching extremely closely in 2026. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that this is not financial advice. I'm not making this video to entice you to go out there and buy these stocks, but I'm watching them, and on pullbacks, I'm going to be adding extremely heavy while the price is low. So make sure that if you're interested in investing in any of these stocks that I talk about in today's video, that you do your own research and make sure that any investments that you make work for you. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in. And the very first stock that I'm going to be watching that's under $50 is Sofi. Look, this was a position that I missed early on. I had so many friends that were reaching out to me, telling me, hey man, you need to look at Sofi. Do your due diligence on them because we believe that they're in prime position to have a mini breakout. Now, I already had a bunch of individual plays in my portfolio, and I typically don't like to have too many stocks in my portfolio. So I kind of pushed that off to the wayside, but I did add it to my watch list and I kept an eye on it. And over the past year plus, it has continued to increase in price every single week. Now, I really like Sofi because there's so much that they have all integrated into one space. So they have your home loans, you have your student loans, you have your personal loans, you can invest, you can open a checking account, you can open a savings account. And I believe that you can also buy cryptocurrency through their app, all in one location. And here's one of the other reasons that I really like them, outside of just the integration of all those products that they can offer you, that they do not have a traditional brick and mortar like a JP Morgan Chase or a Bank of America, meaning that a lot of that cost to maintain those large buildings and those large real estate presences where you have all of these branch locations, that's not there. That cost is not there. All right, let's take a deeper look at what's going on with Sofi. I'm going to be taking a look at my screen here, but I'll be sure to share everything that I'm going through on the screen so you guys can follow along with me. As of today, Sofi is trading at $26.60, and it has a year range. So the range that this position has traded at over the last 52 weeks, the low was $8.62 and the high was $32.73. So we're about $5 off from the 52-week high on this position. And on the day, the stock has traded between $26.20 and $27.32. If we take a look at the chart here, you can see everything that I just mentioned. We have some sideways trading here starting in March of 2025. And since that time, since around July of 25, we've seen some movement to the upside in this position. I jumped into this position last year at the beginning of July. So I did jump in right as we were starting to move to the upside. And I'm going to continue to add to this position, especially if we see some pullback in 2026. All right, now let's take a look at some of the financials here. So right now I'm looking at an income statement here. And we have an income statement that covers 2020 through 2024. So the income statement for 2025 has not been released yet. I would imagine within the next month or two, we'll start to see some numbers coming out for 2025. But as we can see on the top line here, we have 2.64 billion in revenue. So that represents a 26.82%, so almost 28% increase from 2023. And then the operating expense is 1.95 billion, which represents roughly a 12% increase. So costs have increased to operate. Net income, 498.67 million, which represents a 265, almost 266% increase from 2023 to 2024. Huge increase there. And then the net profit margin of 18.87 represents almost a 230% increase from the prior year. These are some big numbers here and is one of the main reasons I really like this position. I believe I have an opportunity to get in before we see another breakout in this position. So I'm going to continue to dollar cost average in this position, especially when the market pulls back and presents an opportunity. The second stock that I'm watching that I really like that's under $50 is Lyft. Lyft is the main competitor to Uber, especially in the United States, and I believe they have a lot of operations going on up in Canada as well. I think that there is an opportunity for Lyft to move similar to how Uber was moving back in that 2022-23 timeframe. So many people have signed up to drive for rideshare companies like Uber and Lyft. And I truly believe that we have an opportunity to get into this position before it has a breakout to the upside. Now, we have a lot of things going on right now, especially with autonomous driving. Is Lyft going to be a major player in that? If so, how are they going to do that? I'm not hoping that they go out and they figure out a way to displace drivers, but whenever we're thinking about investing in positions, I really like to look for companies that are disruptors in the industry. Uber was a major disruptor to the taxi company. Airbnb was a major disruption in the hotel industry. Whenever there's an opportunity to invest in a company where I believe still has some room to run to the upside, especially under $20, I think it deserves a look, and it's one of the reasons why I've been slowly dollar cost averaging into this position as well. So let's go ahead. Let's take a look at some of the numbers for Lyft so you can understand some of the things that I'm seeing and looking at when I'm doing my initial due diligence on a company that I want to add to my portfolio. All right, so right now we're looking at Lyft. Lyft is currently trading at $19.69. And if we take a look on the day, they've traded between $18.99 and $19.83. So not a big swing on how they're trading on the day, but on the year, they have a range of $9.66, which is the 52-week low, and the $25.54. So a nice swing there. And then if we take a look at the 1-year chart here, we can see that we've had a lot of sideways movement in this position up until around August of 2025, where we did start to see some movement to the upside in this position. And since around October-ish of 2025, we've been trading mostly sideways in this position, which I think is a clear sign that we could see a breakout at some point up to around that $30 range. That's what I'm watching on Lyft to see if we can get there. So I'm going to continue to dollar cost average into this position, especially while it's under $20 a share. All right, let's take a look at the income statement here. Again, just like with Sofi, 2025 numbers have not been posted yet, at least not as of the posting of this video. So we can take a look here and we can see that revenue and net income are both now positive, at least for 2024 they were. So 2020, 21, 22, we had some revenue, but the net income was down. 2023, the net income was down, but it was closer to being in the green. In 2024, they posted a positive year. If we look at the revenue, 5.79 billion, that represents a change of 31.4%, so almost 32% in change in year over year from 2023 to 2024 in revenue. Operating expenses, 2.15 billion is up 16.42%. So revenue is up, operating expenses are up as well. Net income, 22.78 million, represents 106.7% increase, so almost 107% increase in net income. And if we take a look at the net profit margin of 0.39, that represents 105% increase. So we're starting to see some movement here. And again, this is another financial statement that I'm going to be waiting to take a look at to see how they performed in 2025. Can these numbers increase? Are they going to stay flat? I'll be concerned if they're red. If they've increased, then that's going to be a good sign for me to continue to invest in this company. And the third company that I'm watching very closely that's under $50 is Applied Digital Corporation. This is also a company that I kind of jumped into a little bit late. I really wish I would have been able to get into this back when it was under $10, but I just wasn't a believer back then. I wasn't sure where we were heading in this AI space. And when it comes to Applied Digital Corporation, they design and build data centers for AI and other cloud-based type services. And I believe there is huge potential to see this company make a major move to the upside in the near future. Let's take a little bit of a deeper dive look into Applied Digital Corporation. So on the day, we are trading at $38.21. And the day range is between $35.94 to $39.51. So about a $4 swing on the day for the price for this stock. And then on the year, we've had a range of $3.31 up to $40.20. Guys, think if we would have invested in this position back when it was $5 and right now it's trading at $38.21. Guys, these are the moves that can make you a tremendous amount of money. Just think if you can buy a position at under $5 and ride that position all the way up to $40, that could be life-changing money for so many people. Let's take a look at the 1-year chart here. So as you can see, we had a lot of sideways movement at the beginning of 2025 in this position. And then right around September timeframe of 2025, we really started to see some movement to the upside into this position. We've had some pullbacks, and it looks like we're trying to rally and move back to the upside. So I'm going to be watching this one extremely closely over the next few months. If we can get a pullback to that $20 zone, that's going to be the area that I'm going to be watching to potentially make a big time add into this position and hold for the future. All right, so let's take a look at the financials here. And as you can see for 2025, which is posted for APLD, you see that there is a nice revenue number here, but there is a substantial loss here on the net income. So I did some research on this, and I did see that there were a substantial cost associated with designing and building and opening up these AI data centers, the high operating costs with all of that technology that's involved with getting one of these centers set up and ready to go. So I believe that a lot of this income that we see here as being lost were capital expenditures that were made to make this company much more profitable moving forward. When I see the operating expense being that high, to me, that signals that there could be a lot of capital investments that took place in 2025, and 2026 could be the year that we start to see that turn around. Now, I'm going to be watching this extremely closely all through 2026. And when they report in 2027, that's when I'll really start to understand, okay, is this company in my long-term plans, or is this one that I need to just cut? And as we just previously talked about, the net income, negative 231.07 million, and that's down almost 55% from 2024. Net profit margins, negative 160.25, which represents a 47% reduction from 2024. Guys, again, I'm going over 3 positions that I'm watching, all under $50, that I really like for potential benefit in the future. I'm just trying to put some positions in front of you guys that you can go do your own research on and determine if any of these would fit into your portfolio. So what do you guys think about the 3 companies that I'm watching all under $50 for 2026 and beyond? I'd like to get your feedback. I know you guys are going to have a lot of comments on APLD. I want to hear your thoughts on that. Do you think investing in APLD is a lost cause? Or are you like me, understanding that sector and the cost associated with jumping in and building out your infrastructure comes along with the territory? Leave a comment down below and let me know.